Hello, everybody, and welcome to our second user group event. Thanks a lot for joining us. I'm really happy that some people stayed from the first kickoff meeting and still with us. I know it's a Christmas time coming, everybody busy and not really focused on learning something new. So here are the people who really found the time in those busy days. And today we will have a second session of our user group where we will talk about Adobe MCP servers for a builder development. So I know it will be a bit more techy than we had the first meeting. By the reason it's already like about development, about technical stuff. And wait, can I switch? Yes, I can switch. We will record the session. So yeah, again, if you're not sure or you don't want to be recorded, you can then watch it later. It will be published on Adobe YouTube channel. And if you don't want to participate, you can also just write me if you have any complaints about your name somewhere or that you've been recorded. About myself, if somebody new here, my name is Alex. I'm working at Commerce Reply, located in Germany. Born in Ukraine. I'm working as so I started to work as a Magento developer about already lost 18, 17 years ago. So Magento 1.4. And then grew up with all this community, with this platform, currently working as an architect and technical team lead, providing the solutions, learning the new stuff, distributing it to the team. And trying to share my knowledge around. So really happy that you could make it and come here. And my co-host is Kelly.
Hello. Hi, everyone. So for anyone who doesn't know me, nice to meet you. So I know Alex because Comrap is our partner. So we're co-hosting this together as a partner customer. And also I represent like the business side of every developer needs a business partner. So we thought it would be really enriching to also bring the business side in. And represent that. I lead a team of marketing technologists at Sunstar. We're a Japanese company that's based in Etoile. The global headquarters are in Etoile, and probably across Europe, the brand that you might know is a gum brand. So we're a leader in oral care products. Also just a long history in kind of being that bridge between business and technology. So very happy to be here. And look forward to learning with you. And that's it. If you have questions, I'll be moderating and looking for questions in the chat. And that's it. I'd say let's roll.
Thanks a lot, Kelly. I hope you will learn today something new, a bit more technical direction for you, which I guess can be quite interesting for everybody to see how the development are moving forward. Very short about house rules. So that's a public event. It's a community-driven event. We're trying to share our experience, not being influenced by anybody, more or less, including Adobe, even if it's Adobe event, because Adobe trying to engage the people around just to share their experience, use their product, giving the honest feedbacks around. So there are no self-promotion or pitching any kind of self-promotion and pitching are not allowed on this event. Don't contact the people outside of the user group without their consent, please. If you, again, as I told also in the first slide, as it will be recorded, if you don't want to be on a recording, just let me know. Or you can watch them later after it's published. Then let's switch to our topic today. I'll not see a slide chat. So if there are any questions, Kelly, you can stop me. I mean, really, if there's something in the middle of the process where you feel that you can ask the question, we can do it in a live mode. I don't want to like doing the user groups, talking for 40 minutes. Also can be very interesting, but if we can do it interactive also, so feel free to ask your questions. Just write them in the chat. There are also Q&A section, by the way, on this meeting, so feel free to use it. Today we'll talk about development of Adobe App Builder applications. with using the MCP servers. But first, just to make a small intro, maybe if you joined us and you can drop the message in the chat if you know what the Adobe Builder is, because we already had an intro session on this one. There are a lot of resources outside, but I'm sure understand that people can come from different areas, also from business. We're not much in development. So maybe just yes, no in the chat that I see. What is your experience with this one? And while you're doing it, I still will start a bit with intro to Adobe Builder development. So, but I will try to do it summarized. So the Adobe Builder is the way of extend, in the first place, your Adobe Commerce system with additional functionality without touching the core product. At the same time, we already had experience with using it not only for extending Adobe Commerce, but also Adobe products in general. So it's basically the orchestration layer. And if you're talking about this extensibility layer, what do you have? You have the toolset, which is available for you as a developer or as an integrator. There are also some low-code integrations which can be used even if you're not really in the development scope, but you learn in. First of all, you have React Spectrum, so which assume all your interfaces you will build as extensions for your Adobe services or Adobe Commerce in this case are look the same. So it's a set of toolset which allow you to build the similar looking interfaces. Here you have CLI tools which allow you to manage your applications, deploy it, build it, debug it, create different events, subscribe to different events, and orchestrate like setup within the CLI tool before you will publish event. For sure, after the extension is published and you starting to use it, or your customer started to use it, that's something you don't need to use. That's more for developers. You have Adobe documentation, which for me, one of the most important points, honestly, because as I started to work with a builder, there was no documentation and you need to spend huge amount of time to understand what's going on. And also, as we already talking today about AI topics, the same for AI. If there are no documentation, there are no documents that your AI tools can learn on. So that's one of the most important tool sets you may have. And I'm really happy that it's at least tried to keep up to date by different part of Adobe teams. As Adobe Builder is a JavaScript application, you have all more or less Node.js libraries available outside, which you can use during your development, which make you quite flexible in a way how you build your applications. You have Adobe libraries, which is Adobe build packages, which you can use to like easy your work in case if there are some operations which require using Adobe services, Adobe APIs. There are libraries which can help you with this one. And you have Adobe Services itself. If you're talking about Adobe Commerce Vault, it can be product recommendation, catalog service, live search, also some journey optimizers, AEP, and a lot of Adobe services which provide in the public APIs, which you can use and then connect your commerce system with those systems, depends on the use cases you have. We will talk today about one of the first add-ons for a builder or templates for a builder, which is called Integration Starter Kit. And again, if you not really know what is that, that's a set of the scripts or template which allow you to build integration between your Adobe Commerce system and third-party systems. It's bidirectional, so if there is something happening in Adobe Commerce, you have to export it, send the webhook, send the message outside. Integration Starter Kit, that's something you can easily kickstart with to build the new module. The same in other direction, if there's, let's say, you have HubSpot integration, then if something happened in there, you again can receive this message and send it to Adobe Commerce. So it's, again, just a template. You still need to build your integration yourself. But why to use this template? Because all the processes you build are usually the same. So in my experience, when I'm working with a lot of Adobe Commerce project, they have a lot of integrations and they all look more or less the same by the reason you have outcome in data and then you need to send them somewhere. And the process is always the same. So this process is built in already in Integration Starter Kit and looks like following. You have, let's say, Adobe Commerce system with sending an event outside, and then you validating this data by whatever logic you want to. You can for sure skip this step if you don't want to. Then you transform your data, because I never saw two systems which using the equal APIs if they're from different providers. So for sure, if you have order schema on Adobe Commerce, it will not match SAP order schema. So you need to transform it, then the target system could receive it correctly. Then you can pre-process the request. So do whatever you want, like send a webhook, maybe call third-party API, where you need to fulfill the data, for example, before they will be sent out, and then technically execute the send itself. Oh, cool, you see my mouse. Oh, that's nice. And then you have a third-party system which is receiving your data, and then after you get in the response, you can also process the response or do whatever you want after that. Again, like send notification in your monitoring tool, for example, that order been exported from your commerce system. And why to use it? Because this process is already pre-built in Integration Starter Kit, and you have a quite structured process. You have a lot of extensions points. It's quite easy to extend because process is defined, and you just have to choose the correct file, more or less, where you build your logic in. And then it's easy to trace this process, also because Integration Starter Kit has open telemetry integrations, which allow you to easily monitor the process, or just use pure New Relic integrations, which are also available, and to see what's going on within your system. Then that was first part, like starting one related to the integrating services with Adobe Commerce and a builder. And then we have artificial intelligence, and that's a topic which is most popular topic within last years, which changing the way how we also develop in the code. So as assumption, for sure, it have to be that you asking, hey, create me the order export for Adobe Commerce, and you have the full working functionality, which is not true in reality. And that's why I took this picture. So as an expectation, you expect that everything is done. In reality, you spend in sometimes even more time if you're trying to understand why the AI built it like that, or trying to explain to AI how it's have to be built, or trying to debug something. So that can be painful, and there are like main issues or main reasons why it is painful, and I tried to accumulate them all. So there is like a bottlenecks when you purely go into browser, go into ChatGPT and start to asking him a question. First of all, you have prompt and loop, so you ask him the same questions again and again for different use cases and different projects. Where they come into second point, AI is not really learning. So there's no persistent learning if you're just using the AI agents without any instructions. You're just talking to them like a person. So that's like you explain something to your colleague who listened to you but do not remember anything you said him when he will ask him the next time. So there is repeatable errors you're doing and AI is doing by the same reasons. There are limited contextual knowledge, and I had it quite a lot only when the AI just appeared. That when I asked him the questions about Magento or Adobe Commerce, the answer was quite basics, low level, not always the truth, sometimes made up. And also like Magento 2, for example, which then integrate like transformated to Adobe Commerce later, is there for more than 10 years already. There are a lot of documentation where originally AI learned on, which then become obsolete, which become deprecated, but still available there, and your agent not always can separate it. So you're starting to get advices or calls which is built on old patterns, repeatable errors, and all other stuff. Then another one is if there are no original instructions, there are no results. If you will ask him, build me order export for my Magento system to SAP, it will build something for sure. But the quality of this build something will be very poor by the reason there are no context, which API to use, when event have to be triggered, and all other stuff. And then the biggest and was like a new point for all of us, because maybe first 5 been more obvious before AI era, the hallucination that something AI brought with it. So when you start asking the question and then getting totally random answers, or have a code built in a way that then you cannot understand it and you don't know why it was built like that. And the quality issues for sure. I mean, maybe that's only me who talking sometimes to AI like to a real person. If you're also doing it, I will be really happy if you just write it, and then I maybe will be a bit more calm that I'm not alone who is doing it. But yeah, sometimes asking the question, assuming that the AI is know everything and have to deliver you the result, it can be not the best decision. Thanks, Max. Yeah, and so you can improve it, right? You can improve those basic points. You don't need any fancy stuff for it, like MCP servers, LLM, own hosted models, or so on. The first basic level is the power of predefined instructions. So when you're developing something daily, predefine instructions well, like define the rules, define the constraints, the context where you're working on, the output format. The more you will give, the better result you will get. Like it will be more predictable, the quality will be better. For sure, it's not guaranteed it will be a great one, but it for sure will be better than just simple phrases like, hey, create me the order export. And align your model with where you're working in even. So like, hey, I'm working with PHP and I want to build this or this module for Adobe Commerce that have to export data to this system. Here is one API, has another API. So the more you provide, the better. And the coding tools like VS Code and Copilot, they have functionality to have it out of the box, predefined, and you can then use it. More advanced level is to have the MCP servers. And MCP servers is basically they give into your AI some standardized way of receiving the data from the outside, right, from database, from the apps. It's giving some instructions to AI how to communicate with the tooling you're working with. And that's where we will go much deeper into the MCP for Adobe App Builder, because Adobe releasing the MCP servers for development of App Builder means when you are working, I could give you like example on the basically Adobe Builder development. So if you're already telling, hey, I want to build Adobe Builder module that will send data from my Adobe Commerce cloud as a service system to the SAP service, and AI already know that, okay, I have to use Adobe Commerce documentation, you build in a builder, so I have to build Adobe Builder standards and so on. So you have definition, so it's a correct set of instructions provided to an LLM to define its role, constraints, and basically what it have to do. You define in like system instructions, data you provide in. So again, if you export data from the commerce, you can even tell which data you export in which format or what's the target system is expected. You have quality level, because the more quality your instructions are in the beginning, the better your result will be. And if you're using the MCP tools, and not only, let's say, Adobe Commerce and Builder tool, but so again, if you're going to Adobe Builder, then MCP for Adobe Builder is the best choice in this case, if there are no third-party ones, because it's know what is it working with. So it has set of the commands it can run, it has access to Adobe documentation and all other stuff. So the quality, if using MCP server developed for this particular use cases, will be much better. And then for sure, the key benefits of it, that basically like whatever benefits they are officially listed, the quality for me is one of the like best one, and also reducing of repeatable task and error-proof development. So I don't need to spend too much time to fixing the issue that shall not even appear if you use it in the correct context. So yeah, and why use it? Basically, I already more or less said it. So you write once the MCP server, then you use it everywhere. So I can give you an example of one of the projects I worked on. So if I want to build MCP server, which can access the product metadata of Adobe Commerce, then in the future, I can just tell, hey, give me the products XYZ, and it will give me products from my own system because it has a set of the tools and instructions how to do it. So I don't need to repeat this operation again and again. It's secure by the design. So MCP usually, I mean, for sure you can build it quite flexible, but in most cases it's ask you for confirmation if you want to execute some command which is quite sensitive, or ask you for confirmation to do one or another operation itself. And then the future-proof. So yeah, you can switch your AI tools, but MCP server will still work in the way how it's have to work. So you can use different AI tools around. I mean, you can use Gemini for one case and ChatGPT for another one, but using the same MCP server, and you don't need to change it. So you can use the same functionality. So that was shortly about MCP server. And now let's try to merge them together. And why are we doing it together? And why I told you first about integration starter kit and the first point, and then about MCP on the second point, because those tools better for sure work together. And first, maybe about the numbers. I checked the projects I worked on last years. And that was quite interesting statistics. So Adobe Commerce integrations, when I receiving the new projects, we mostly have some integrations with third-party systems. So we need to export order to some system, import product from some system, and so on. And statistically, we have in 75%, we need to synchronize the shipment for its third-party system. Order export is 90% of the projects. Then we have prices, stock, and products update, which is never lower than 70% of all projects together. But at the same time, we still more or less for every integration develop it in again and again, even if it's like looks similar, but the ERP or third-party systems in most cases are different. They provide in different formats. Then for sure their evolution, let's say we started with Magento 2 in those days, and we work with one way of the APIs, then a synchronous API appeared. We need to rework the way how we're working because it's more performant. And then some other tools appear, the message queue is there, so we're changing it again. And it's like evolutionally, but you're still doing the same operation again and again. We for sure try to reuse some parts of it, but we're still spending a lot of time on the whole this process. And the process looks usually like this. So you have requirements which come in, hey, I want to import the product from system XYZ to my Adobe Commerce. Okay, what is the format of which API we have available? Is it just a CSV file? Is it REST API? Is it SOAP API? Then how the API looks like and which data we need to have from this system. We're doing analyzing of the data more or less manually, in the past at least, where we compare the schema and try to map it to Adobe Commerce requirements. Then we executing the integration, creating the converters, transformers, validators, resolvers, and all other stuff just to make it work. Then we're wrapping up a lot of monitoring around, just that we know what's going on with the system. Then come in a new project, and at least those first 2 points, the blue one and green one, with requirements and data mapping, we still have to do again manually. Execution and integration, we still have to do partially manually. For sure, we can reuse some blocks if you already had the similar ERP system, or we had in past some engine which simplify the way how the import works. And then monitoring also can be totally different, depends on what customer brings you. So that's the use cases I mostly has in my experiences. And then come in the Adobe MCP server, which tell, hey, we can support you with this. First of all, there is AI, and part of this task you already can automate without MCP server, for sure. But then you just want to standardize it somehow, more or less. So the Adobe App Builder MCP is providing you enhancement development workflows, AI-powered assistance, automated workflows, commerce-specific features. And we will go one of those points one to another one by one, because after I told it, it's maybe not really clear what is it doing, but I don't want to focus on this one. Just want to directly go to a bit more deep. So we have enhanced development workflows. So the MCP server of Adobe App Builder know already how to execute one or another command while working with a builder. So when you provide in the context, hey, I build in the Adobe Builder application, it's know how to deploy, how to invoke the action, how to log in, how to configure, how to do onboarding, how to subscribe to events. And that's something which system already know how to do. You don't need to explain it. And there are like a lot of responsibilities, like pre-flight checks that the configuration file is correct, that everything fine. It's checking that you don't have, let's say, port where you want to run your local deployment is already busy. So it will notify you about this one. It will check which action you already has. It will ask you the questions which it have to be asked to proceed the job. For example, if you're asking, hey, I want to build Adobe Commerce module, it will ask you where you're working on. Are you on SaaS? Are you on PaaS system? So because APIs can be different and scopes can be different. You already have some structured output, so in a way that it's easy for you to read and so on. You have AI-powered assistants, which is, again, as I also said before, one of the biggest features, as for me, is the documentation access. So the queries are vector search, Adobe Commerce documentation, which is for sure you cannot read, but AI can read. It has all documentation. It has the scope. I don't want to say 100% proof. No, it will. Honestly, I don't believe it will ever be. But at least they know in all documentation and scopes where you work in, and it's super beneficial. And while tested this functionality, there also APIs become available. So technically, if you also ask some stuff about the API, you will get an answer, or integration will be built by following the APIs. Then you have workflow management. So the MCP already have a steps which is working to, like collect their requirements, build the architecture, get the confirmation that it's understood everything correctly, select an approach of development, and then implementing it. So there are scopes already defined by the way how MCP will parse your request you give into it, and will be much more structured than just pure ChatGPT prompt. You have already also automated workflow, like if you will ask, hey, please deploy my application, AI will execute multiple steps within the same command. So if you're like, hey, please deploy it, we'll do check where you locate it, make a build, upload, and provide you the repo if everything is fine, how it's deployed, and all other stuff. So there is deploy, onboard, invoke, and AI phases, which is something I explained before. So those are more or less providing for the AI the steps which it have to do to achieve one or another task. And then also commerce-specific features available. So again, it's the AI knows that the scope you're working on is Adobe Commerce. It can run on board and subscribe to different events. And it's know to which events to subscribe. If you will ask, and I will show it, I did it like subscribe to, hey, when I export order when it's placed, it will know the scope that, hey, I have to subscribe to event XYZ because this event is responsible for order export from the system. And then again, doc search, which is part of it. So that's it.
Hey, Alex.
Yes.
Let's stop. There's a couple of questions.
Yes,
Let's just take a break. Let's answer. So Florian's asking, what do you think? How good does it know the commerce integration starter kit structure itself, which you showed a couple of slides back?
I mean, yeah, that's a good question. I believe it's cover most of the basic cases I worked on. So the structure which I showed you, like with transformation, validation, sending, pre and post, that's already quite good built. I believe it's built on quite basic level, which I like. So, I mean, as you work with Adobe Commerce development, the way how the modules build there can be quite confusing and not always fulfill the needs. Like if you want to build something simple, you still need to build a complex integration to follow the Adobe Commerce PHP standards. Here it's built on quite low level, but also, at least at this moment, it's not stated that you have to follow it. So that's what I like. So at least from what I worked on, I found it comfortable if you want to build the base integration. If you want to build something more complex, I feel quite easy just to change it myself and then feel happy about this one, because I don't need to follow like backward compatible and compatible, or if I change the core file, what then will happen, and so on. So that's at least that's from my experience. I mean, maybe you have another one. I would be also happy to hear.
Yes, I tried it and it didn't stick to the commerce integration starter kit structure at all. It just did its own runtime action, which is fine. It's running, of course. But I'm not sure. Did you explicitly tell it to stick to the structure itself? Because I didn't. I just assumed it. Yeah.
I switched several slides forward, which I then will come later on. But have a look. Implement Adobe Commerce SaaS extension that will export order to external API after it's been placed in Adobe Commerce. Requests have to be routed to GraphQL mutation with endpoint XYZ, and then some mapping. That's it. That's all what I defined. And it's follow the structure.
All right. Thank you.
Sure. Welcome. Any other questions, Kelly? I mean, maybe you can guide me.
No, Mohammed says that indeed using MCP is a game changer.
Okay.
Deploying automation.
Yeah, and that's I even didn't start this with. So I'll tell more about this one.
Yeah, actually,
Thank
I
you,
confirm
Florian.
this
We look forward to
because
catching up. Oh, go ahead. Mimi.
mainly because it is the automation is the most step that takes time and needs and requires to remember the steps. So the MCP will really help us with that.
Yeah, correct. And that's I'll touch it today. Yeah, that's very valid point. Okay. So yeah. So when you will set it up, you're using your AIO command to set it up, and you will ask some questions like where you want to install it and which agent you would like to use. I see Christian asked for Codex CLI, and I see we had Matt here on the chat, who is part of this project. So that's maybe something to note about. Thanks, Christian, for sharing. But because yes, currently it will support 4 agents. Again, I mean, I made the screenshot while I made a beta testing like a week ago. Something will change. And if you'll watch this presentation about, by the way, online, there's something maybe already changed if it's going further in development. And after you install it, you can validate that it's available there within your MCP service. At least I use VS Code. And what it's also doing is providing the first set of instructions. So that's why I have the screenshot here. So you have the Copilot instructions in my case, because I use VS Code, which already providing like a scope of where the module is working on. And it will do the same for all those other 4 systems for now. So yeah, let's make a small glimpse into the instructions, because these instructions which provided here out of the box, giving the direction of AI and telling where it have to go and what it have to build. So it's telling use the documentation provided by MCP, which is Adobe documentation related to Adobe App Builder. It's telling that it's a headless integration or headless application for runtime actions. Sync SPA is only for UI components, so the interfaces can be built only for UI components. SAS compatible patterns, because I mean, SAS is quite new, but it's still the future and the further development of Adobe, where the more and more project will come with it. So you need to be more or less, so you don't want to repeat your job twice, like in 1-2 years. It's using EMS authentication by the reason we are in Adobe App Builder context, and for PaaS and for SaaS, you can have EMS authentication, and then it's event-driven and asynchronous, which is quite logical, right? And then the instructions also has a point that it have to read requirements MD file, which is quite important. So that's a file you can provide yourself, which will define additional requirements, input, output. So whatever you want to provide when you build in the module, you can put there. If it's not there, it will be generated automatically, because then AI agent will ask you the questions. Based on those questions, it can build the requirement MD file. And then this file itself, let's say I haven't created it. I didn't know that it have to be provided. It was not part of the documentation because it was beta test and it was not really full. So I missed this step. And then I checked what's basically a requirement MD file is for. So it's defining the extension requirements, project overview, business requirements, technical and trigger and events. So that's all which is usually defined there. If you're not providing, then AI will ask you for this information if necessary. Depends for sure what you want to build. Providing info about external system integration is providing the data flow, like where and from where data have to be sent, and then some acceptance criteria and functional requirements, what you want to test, if you want to build the change log, if you have any monitoring tools, and so on and so on. So the more you put there, the better. And I will come to this one. That's quite important, location honest. Some commerce-specific features you can find in the requirements. So you need always please define like target environment, triggering events. Not always necessary if you will tell what you exactly want to do, but please validate it, because there can be multiple events for the same task. Because like if you can assume the order export, it can be like before one status, after one, before paid, after paid, order just placed, orders confirmed, and so on. So AI don't know these details, and if you will not provide them, it may assume something basic and will use some basic action. So you need to still check what is it doing. Provide external API requirements, how you want to test, test, how you want to keep the data within your application. Then it's doing the architectural planning. So the first one is more or less AI will ask you, or it will read it from the requirement file. Then it's doing the architectural planning, checking the flows, doing the transformations if necessary, provide you the validation steps. And then technically just generate the code based on all requirements you provided. So for sure, I mean, MCP, powerful tool. But if you will not provide any data, as I told on the first slides, the result still will be very, very bad one. Even if the tool already know it's an Adobe Commerce scope, it for sure will reduce amount of errors tremendously because it will know what is it doing more or less. But still, the less you provide, the worse result will be. And now, finally, let's go to the real use cases. And this slide I already showed before. So first, I started with order export, which is, if you remember the previous slides, it's take about 90% of all project we have the order export implementing. And the prompt is quite simple. Implement Adobe Commerce SaaS. For this case, I choose SaaS environment to export order to external API system, provided the schema, and provided some basic mapping just in case. And AI, yes, it's created the event configuration, implemented the order handler action, created the validator, even if I don't ask for, which I then, because it's guessed, so I didn't ask for validator, for example. I'll just provide some basic validation if fields are existed, and I had to align it because it didn't know, let's say, which fields required or not. So as I said, please check that it's matching your expectations. Created a transformer, create the main handler, update configuration, and edit the unit test. Unit test, it's a separate point to discuss. As a result, I got more or less working functionality. It's made working stuff functionality from the first time, but as I said, there was, for example, some validations which have to be applied because it's haven't asked and I didn't provide the information about it. So I had to change some fields which is required and not required. But basically, functionality worked fine. It's correctly recognized the event for the sales order save comment after. That's what it used. It was fine for me. Correctly map the fields between. Provided documentation for required environment variable. That's what I like. I never was a fan of the writing documentation, even if I knew that's quite important stuff in doing the projects. Provide instructions how to test the integration with Postman. That's something I asked explicitly and got quite detailed answer how to test everything. And edit OpenTelemetry monitoring and log integration. So because usually OpenTelemetry for Enrich Starter Kit you have to do yourself. If you build in without AI agents, you need to edit there. So you can enable it, but if you build something custom, you need to edit also customly. But it's failed in some points. First of all, it was recognition of the body request sending from Adobe Commerce. So AI selected event correctly, but haven't defined correctly the body which coming in. So all basic fields were fine, but for example, address element was in a wrong location, and it could be, I believe, customer also was in a wrong location. Was a couple of minor JavaScript errors. And one time when I tried to fix one of them, it's refactored code when I haven't asked for it. And I believe this, let's say, especially the last point, can happen on any AI agent you're working with. So what I always try to tell that whatever AI is doing, you're always responsible on the result. And you always have to validate what is it doing, even if it's doing it correctly, because at least I hope you want to know how your system works in the end. And yeah, within about 60 minutes from first prompt to then testing, I got more or less prototype and integration. For sure, there can be different use cases with different fields. Like if you have, for example, multiple store website where in one state is required and another one is not. So this can be different parameters and validation rules. But for base setup, I would believe it's quite fast, especially as I thought how much it would take me if I would start to do it manually. I mean, without AI, it would be maybe up to 5-6 hours. And I believe even with AI, without MCP, it still will take me several hours forcing back integrations with it. And also the result would not, maybe will follow the full standards. But yeah, I mean, in Florian said, for example, I mean, in his test cases, it was not so smooth as for me. That's why Honestly, I cannot guarantee the results. So I will just share my experience here. Then we have product import, which was much more interesting for me because it's much more complex use cases. And so I had to build advanced instructions for it so I could go to the way of the standard order export and it would do exactly the same. I realized, okay, it's a bit boring for me. I need something more advanced. Yeah, and if you remember, sorry, I will click a bit. If you remember this one, we have these first two parts with requirement analysis and data mapping. And that's what we usually do manually all the time. And AI would do it, but it would do it like automatically, more or less, to build you based on the schema, the output. And then you need to go to code and to validate that everything is correct. I wanted to do it a bit more better. I want to reduce even these repeating tasks just for the next project to not do this again. So this mapping steps and requirements validation and that the APIs are matching, I want that AI also do it and not I am. So we're receiving the import schema. So first of all, I extended it to get the import schema directly. So it means I worked with a REST API and I just can export the Swagger as JSON and then just provide it to the AI or to the requirements file. Then it have to analyze the schema. Then it have to provide desired mapping between the schema I have. So I haven't provided the endpoint. I haven't provided like a REST or CURL call. I provided only the schema because there can be multiple endpoints on the schema, multiple bodies, different bodies for every endpoint. And then the system had to provide me the mapping between Adobe Commerce and external system. Then user have to confirm the mapping, and then only the import can be implemented by AI, and then I'm testing more or less. So I tried to create the more structured instructions before I went to this process. So not just asking the AI directly with the first prompt, but first spend some time on creating the instruction. First of all, I get the import schema from target system, save it as a JSON, and provided this as a part of instructions to AI. Then AI logically compare this schema with like Adobe Commerce schema, which is out of the box available there, like out of the box available in MCP server because it can read the APIs. And then it's make an analysis and provide, like try to compare by namings, requirements, and all other stuff if the one field match to another one. And then AI provided me the recommended mapping. And I had to confirm it. And then it's also asked me if there anything unclear, to ask me provide additional instructions for it. Then I confirm it, if all fine, not fine, and then the implementation happened, and then I can test it. So in all the scope, my work was to extend the requirements MD with instructions. Agent or like user must have to provide schema. It can be GraphQL, REST, or custom. I try to do it unique just to not follow one particular use case. I use one use cases for testing, but I try to make general. So I try to make instructions not really rely on which data they provide, but like have a different blocks. If it's GraphQL, then do GraphQL compare. If it's REST, REST. If it's some custom, do some custom. Agent must build on present field mapping table, and user must explicitly confirm it. And AI basically analyze the data source, validate commerce product import API and some special use cases like categories handling, images handling, custom attributes, local, and mandatory product details, defaults. And then as a result, so part of the execution, when AI started to work, it's make all these steps which I just explained, like analyzing, reviewing, and then provided me the field mapping table, and then presented it to the user and then stopped at this point, asking me, okay, I made this mapping, if you think it's correct one or not one. So as you can see, it's provided me like a source system fields, then provided the commerce fields from Adobe Commerce, defining the type of them, then doing the transformation if necessary, like pass HTML through, it have to be trimmed as it is, add to cart, status is matched to status, yes, 1, no, 2. So basically making those like category join together because I used Adobe Commerce import JSON endpoint, not products, but import, just because it's faster. So it's already knew that, okay, I have to make them like, merge them like this together. And then, so providing the validation. If fields required, and then some nodes additionally. And then directly after this table, I got also some clarification question related to the attributes. So of the 12 custom methods listed above, which should be included in the import? Locale strategy is found that there is an locale elements, and the system has multiple websites, so asking how it have to work with them. And then there was some test parameter that's already my own use cases, so I added to add the test parameter there. And then once they confirm it, I will implement, and then it's telling you what it will implement. And it basically made quite a good job. And for sure, I spent a bunch of time to create those instructions. That's not a part of the standard MCP server. That's something I had to build myself, more or less. And then as a result, I get the working product import environment for sure, which require then some modification for those points related to multiple stores. I skipped it for now. Categories handling was managed correctly. And even, I mean, why, for example, a bit more to commerce side, why I used import, export, import JSON, because it's created categories automatically. Let's say the custom attributes I have to manage separately. It's not creating them automatically, but it's just keeping them. Image handling have to be managed because I work against SaaS, and you don't have the images, like you don't have images stored there anymore. You need to have external URL. So there's some work still have to be done. But for the first iteration, it gave quite cool, like my work performance improvement, and could minimize the work where I have to sit and manually check two tables and compare them together. Yeah, and then as conclusion of all this work I've done while testing, is that MCP gives a great support during a builder development for sure. So again, knowing by scope and to know in which like infrastructure and scope it's operating to. 70 of work. Oh, I wrote it so nicely. So it can make up to 70% of your pure development work. You still have to control on your integration, control what is it doing. You still have to guide AI because it's not something that build like everything for you automatically. You need to understand what are you doing. AI is clever, but not really clever without instruction. That's a very valid point. And as I always said, you are responsible for the final result and not the tool which generating the code for you blindly. And I mean, let me wait. Give me a second. What I wanted also to do, I want to maybe show you just a minute. Wait. Share screen. Yeah. So that's an MCP App Builder tool, what I want to show you, because there's a total lot about the products import. So we have the requirements file, which here are located in the root of your Adobe App Builder application. This requirements file provides the instructions that what I explained, like technical requirements, external system, and so on. What I added additionally, I provided the REST JSON, like in the pure REST file, and then provided special instructions for the product import. Like, again, must build and present field mapping. User must explicitly confirm the mapping, and so on and so on. And as I showed before, so it's quite dynamically here. So it depends on APIs the target system has. It can behave a bit differently. And then as a result, yeah, I got the working integration, which for sure eats some of my nerves how to do it. But yeah, that's it. Oh wait, I stopped sharing, right? I stopped sharing. Let me come back to it. But basically it, and yeah, and one more point. Sorry, almost it. The Adobe App Builder MCP server is available for the beta testing, if I'm not mistaken. And Matt, who joined us today, maybe you can give some info how to get it and how to start to use it.
Yeah, certainly. So thanks, Alex and Kelly. But yeah, team, last week we did open this up to all partners that are part of our solution and technical partner programs here at Adobe. So I'll go ahead and just drop a quick forms link into the chat right here. If you are interested in getting access for this tooling, just answer the few questions. It's really just name, email, the company that you're with, and we'll get you details on access directly.
Cool. Thanks a lot, Matt. That's really cool. Because I got already multiple questions from the people.
That's super cool.
Yep.
Thanks, Matt.
How to get
Yep.
it.
No
Very
worries. We do have a private channel in community Slack as well for everyone who's participating. I'll make sure to go ahead and add you in there. It'll just be collective feedback instead of, individual. So as you put this in the form, I'll go ahead and send a response with all of those details as well. As a heads up, over the next 2 weeks after this week, things might be a little slow just with the holiday shutdown over here, but we'll try to go with Skeleton Crew.
Yeah, I believe you.
Everyone might push that to January.
I hope so for everyone's sake.
No elves on the shelves there for MCP and no. Yeah, I think everyone's like, yeah, next year.
Yep.
Yeah, it's great. Cool. Yeah, any other questions or feedback or experiences to share? It was great, Alex. Thanks a lot.
You're welcome. I hope it was.
I also learned a lot. Well, I'm
useful.
not familiar, so I learned a lot, and it actually gave me a lot of ideas. So my partner is going to be so excited. See, this is the beauty of when you involve business. It's like ding, ding, ding.
Okay, cool. Are there any questions from audience? I guess we answered everything with what they before, but yeah.
Yeah, Alex, I have one small question.
Yeah, sure.
So this agent that you said, so do we need any Python background to build anything on that agent?
No, you don't need anything basically. I mean, you usually when you develop in the Adobe Builder application, you have Adobe I/O tools or CLI tools installed locally, and that's everything you need. You just then install it with a simple command, and you get access to it directly, and that's basically it. And you start it coding.
Okay, so for example, in the as you know, I also worked on the App Builder. So the native approach of Adobe Commerce, we will use that transformer everything, and that pre-post everything, and we will do that one. Okay, and AIO app deploy, we will build that deploy the application. So when coming to this AI agent, that means this MCP server. So you showed 2 files today, that requirements and that other items. Is it completely separate, or is it part of that our starter kit only we need to use it?
I'm not sure I fully got your questions, honestly. I mean,
for example, today you said that order export agent you built it. So my question is, in the that agent we are building, it will be we need to that code, that requirements MD and other files. We need to put it separate, or it will be a part of the starter kit.
no, it's part of the starter kit. So the starter kit is a code base you are using, and then it's just building within the starter kit the functionality you want to have, and that's it. It's a fully natively integrated in your development process.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Alex, we have another question from Vasil. He's asking if you could share somewhere instruction files in the schema description you provided.
Good question. Yes, I can. How better to do it? Let me think. I guess I can send an email to all participants from the tool, and I will add some useful links there inside. Oh, Matt, we can also include your form there, by the way.
Oh, great idea.
Great.
Cool. Yeah. Christian.
Hi, Alex.
Hey.
Thanks for presenting. I have a question about your experience with token usage. So my experience with MCP servers is that if you include one or more tools, then it's important to select just these tools, because otherwise your tokens increase a lot, and then you see 10 times of the token usage.
That's totally true, by the way. But honestly, I made a test for sure. Try to integrate on real project examples, but I never honestly monitored it to check how to optimize this process. I don't know, Matt, if anybody from the people who work on it or test it had any opinions on this one.
Well, that's something that it's interesting. It all depends on the way that it's being used, right? So we haven't actually been testing or collecting any of the usage data or any of those pieces at this point, just given that we've been in a very private beta. But yes, we are looking at different ways to just kind of optimize all of that. So we're keeping credits in mind for everyone. So more as we optimize on the way to GA, which, you know, should be, we're targeting January right now. And as part of this beta, this also really allows us to collect more details on those metrics to, you know, understand and go in an educated fashion to optimize effectively.
Got it. Okay. Cool. Any other questions from people who joined?
No, it doesn't look like it. Very
Okay,
cool.
then we
Right on,
Yeah.
right on
Yeah.
top.
Hi, Alex.
Yeah.
MC
Hi.
Yeah, Srini. I have two questions. So when we are implementing our own custom events to publish to App Builder, so that MCP also should understand the requirement. There also we can build the custom requirement of file for to understand the integration with the third parties. So this will allow, right? So basically, just we are giving an instruction to AI, any AI, to build our own application, right? So
Yeah,
this will
correct.
support our custom events, right?
Correct. Yes. Yeah. I mean, you for sure have to provide the scope again. If you're talking about third-party systems, you have to provide the schema or target system so that AI understand against what it's working currently. So how it's have to transform the data, for example. But yes, so then it's all doing automatically.
Okay. And the next one, I think better. I think if you guys included some kind of instruction with this MCPs into the starter kit also, it would be great helpful for everyone. So obviously, it will increase the usage of the app builder to Adobe. So I think a starter kit have the workflows and other instructions. But if you included this MCP instruction to starter kit also, it would be great helpful for developers.
That's a good point, because I guess currently, Matt, like the tool basically asking you the question and generate requirements MD. And if you predefine some requirements template file within integration starter kit, that for sure may help for people to start over. But yeah, maybe.
Yeah, that's a good point, because we're also in the very near future integrating the checkout starter kit as well. So it's not just tied to the integration starter. So as we do those pieces, I think it's a good thing to keep in mind. That's some good feedback.
Yeah, and the third one, do you have any list of connectors which is already supporting the app builder by, let's say, Salesforce, HubSpot, or ORMs, or any shipping management? Is there any list we can get it?
You have a list of the public extensions, like public integrations, which are available on the Exchange of Adobe. Wait, give me a second. Do you know Exchange? Or otherwise, wait, I'll send you a link.
I think I saw that.
So that's an Exchange filtered by Adobe App Builder integrations. And there you can find different integrations available currently. So that's everything which I know from public scope. Yeah, thanks a lot, Matt. Okay, that was fast. Cool. Good. We are like perfectly on time. Perfectly. 18:00.
Perfect. Then
Thanks a lot for everybody who
Yeah,
joined us today.
thanks everyone.
Thank you very much.
And then we'll send out an email with those two pieces in it, and yeah. Happy holidays. Happy. Have a good end to 2025. Wishing you a good start to 2026, and we'll see you back in January, February.
Thank you. Happy holidays.